issued a 48-hour ultimatum, a 48-hour ultimatum to Iran, telling them that if they don't open up the Strait of Hormuz and within that time limit, that indeed their power grid will be attacked. All their power processing facilities will come under attack if they don't do that. That is the new ultimatum. And that also has some people here in the United States concerned that there will be retributions in kind right here, that Iran might finally decide to activate their sleeper cells in America. It could take down our power grid. So as a result of that, at the end of this video, toward the end of this video, I'm going to go through some grid down prepping tips according to how I survived what I did when we had a grid down for a week in Alabama after an EF5 tornado passed within a mile of my house, knocked all the power out for a week. So we're going to go into that. But guys, this is a serious ultimatum. And what he says, if you don't open the Strait of Hormuz, you've got 48 hours. Now, he issued that in the wee hours of Saturday morning our time. So we are approximately a little over 24 hours out. So you can expect this bombing campaign that he's going to initiate, the attacks on the Iranian power grid, to commence probably early Monday morning, in the wee hours of Monday morning. And we don't know when or how Iran is going to react to this, but they said that their response would be unrestrained. Whatever unrestrained means, that should be taken seriously. We do know they have a lot of capacity. We do know that they have sleeper cells here in the United States. I just did a video explaining why they probably have not activated them yet and may not want to. But this, when they say unrestrained, and look, they just fired 2 missiles that had a range of 4,000 kilometers toward Diego Garcia, twice the range that they had said their missiles could reach. And this has alarmed the leaders in Europe, because suddenly everybody in Europe realizes almost everybody in Europe is in target range of Iranian weapons. And Iran has already shown that they have no qualms against attacking all their neighbors within the Gulf region. And so they might reach out and tap somebody else, including perhaps Europeans. Some of the Europeans are getting concerned, and they had, they've come to the conclusion, oh, we don't really have adequate missile defense, although there are some Aegis Ashore systems in Poland that could offer some defense against Iranian attacks. But if they're using MIRV weapons, and if they've already released the multiple reentry vehicles, that might be a difficult proposition to deal with. So Europe is suddenly realizing that they are in the target zone, that they may be in danger of an Iranian attack themselves. They thought they were safe, and now they know they're not. And this is what Donald Trump had told them earlier, and they didn't believe it. But now it's apparent that Mr. Garcia of the foreign minister of Iran, he came on NBC and told the American press that Iran had limited the range of all their ballistic missiles to 2,000 kilometers, which would have said they weren't in range. But now we know better. And the question at the time was, were we potentially a target zone here in the United States? And he was trying to qualm those fears. But he lied, and it's obvious he lied. It's an absolute established fact now that he lied, and Iran has now played that card, and they're just saying, hey, look what we can do. That's their warning shot more than anything else. So the leaders in Europe are worried, and what's going to happen? We are on a countdown now. We're almost halfway through that 48-hour period. So this is very significant that things are really about to go down and escalate. Now, when it comes to Strait of Hormuz, that's what Donald Trump has told Iran they've got to open up. Will they? As you know, they've already made a policy that they're going to keep it closed from now on, essentially, especially to U.S. and Israeli shipping interests. So there's a lot at stake here. If you don't realize it, half of the world's sulfur and nitrogen products from natural gas that are used in fertilizers, which give you the ammonium nitrate and other nitrogen-based fertilizers, and sulfur, which we grow our food globally with, comes through the Strait of Hormuz. So it's not just a fuel issue, it's going to be a food issue, and it may really drive up costs and cut down availability of food come this summer and fall when you're expecting harvest, especially of grain products, corn, soybeans, wheat, stuff like that. So, and these are basic feedstocks that go into a lot of our food products and to animal feed. So there's going to be a lot. And one reason that beef is so short now is feed costs went so high. A lot of the herds were decimated, eliminated, and now we're dealing with this. So this is something that everybody needs to be aware of. Everybody needs to get prepared for, and our grid is at risk. If nothing else, even if they don't activate their sleeper cells, our grid is at risk from lone actors, rogue agents, and maybe even false flag. Because if the administration really wants to put boots on the ground extensively, would there be a false flag incident to gin up public support? Hard to say. It's just a question I'm putting out there. We don't know the answer to that right now, but what we do know is that it's time to start getting your preps in order, my friends. I've urged you about that for some time. We're going to talk about it a little bit more shortly after I go through the main news, what you need to do, just how I handled it when I was out of power, and some of the things I really haven't talked about, and I just realized, there's some things I need to cover. So I've talked about a lot of bigger, traditional preps in the past, but we're going to go a little bit more into some other ideas here. So buckle up, my friends. I am going to start sharing some articles here in a minute. But before I do, I want to kind of give a shout out to how I'm trying to support and keep this channel running now, since most of the other methods I've tried in the past didn't really bear a lot of fruit. But I got something I set up that will help you and help me out too. So have a look-see here for a second, and then we're going to go into this news. There's a lot of news going on right now, a lot of news, a lot of stuff going down that you need to be aware of. But one thing I've told you about repeatedly is that there's a lot of toxins in your food, in your consumer products, to include heavy metals and chemicals. And this is something that these companies don't want you to know about. You think you're getting all these different brands, but in reality, they're all controlled by 12 corporations now, a little over 550 consumer brands. And so you're getting a lot of the same junk from all of them. And it's not coming out. There's some warnings about glass in food, just crazy stuff, just crazy stuff. The things that they allow to pass through is off the charts. And in other words, you need to be growing your own food too. But some of your consumer products, sunscreen and things like that, lotion, shampoo, hand soap, dishwashing soap, laundry soap, you're probably going to be buying a lot. Some of you make your own, which is good. And I've seen from some of you guys you do that. But here's a way you need to consider that these 12 companies also have controlling interest owned by your big asset management companies, principally BlackRock, which is headed up by Larry Fink, who has taken over the House of Klaus. He's now running, believe it or not, the World Economic Forum. And if you go back, as I said before, and when you see their partners list, the people that are funding, trying to get you to that state where you will have no privacy, you'll own nothing, and you'll be happy. Yeah, it's funded by these guys, my friends, especially these guys. So especially this one right here. So watch out, guys. You can switch away from that, though. You can quit voting for them with your dollars and get good, clean products if you come in here to switchwithgreg.com. There'll be a link below, switchwithgreg.com. It's a family-owned company. Everything's made in the USA. So it supports American jobs, non-toxic products. They don't put all these chemicals in. Even the cleaners are plant-based, and they are tested extensively for safety. You come in here and find all these different things about this. If you go to switchwithgreg.com, this is my own website. You fill it out. The data goes nowhere else except to me and a helper of mine, a member of the community who can show you through this stuff and get you on board. All right, here it is. Trump threatens Iran with further attacks if Hormuz does not reopen in 48 hours. Again, this is issued in the wee hours of Saturday morning, which our time, almost about the time I was, just after I concluded my last live session, really. So this clock is ticking, it's ticking fast. And he posted in Truth Social, he said, if Iran doesn't fully open without threat the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours from the exact time from this exact point in time when he made this post, the United States of America will hit and obliterate their various power plants, starting with the biggest one first. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Short and direct. He just says, hey, you're going to open this straight now, and if you don't do it, this is what you're going to expect. We're going to knock out your power, starting with the biggest plants. And he's not joking. This is another post about that right here, and the different source here. He put that in True Social, and Iran just popped back and says, "Hey, they'll show zero restraint if the energy infrastructure is targeted again." What does that mean? Zero restraint. So they apparently are reluctant to open the Strait of Hormuz because they're just popping back and says, well, if you do this, we're going to do that. So this is a perilous time we're facing here, my friends. We don't know, as I said, how this is going to play out, but it is definitely something to take some serious interest in. If there's been any time to have your eyes wide open, head on a swivel, it's right now. We know that lone wolf actors have already been acting out in the United States and maybe elsewhere. And I reported previously how they were talking that Americans shouldn't feel safe in the national parks and at recreation areas. So and that may be chiefly overseas because Iran has actually attacked a lot of Americans, but they've been mostly doing it overseas. And for some reason, that just don't register with Americans as close as if they attack Americans here at home, which is kind of strange. Well, a lot of people have ignored it. I get a lot of calls, well, Iran's never done anything to us. Well, yes, actually they have. They've destroyed 3 U.S. embassies with people in them. And the Marines at barracks in Beirut, they have, totally destroyed embassies like in Beirut, in Kenya, and Tanzania, which most of you call Tanzania, and they have their proxies have attacked U.S. troops throughout the region, and Iran directly supplied IEDs that took out a lot of our soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan. So, and not to mention they took hostages when they set the regime up to start with. So there's a lot of things here to pay attention to. So the Islamic regime aims to breach nuclear deterrence. They're saying here Israeli weapons might stop it. There's been some channels that have put out that the IRGC has said that they're actually going to go for nukes and try to get them fielded like immediately. How they do that from this point, I don't know. As you know, I have said that I had intel right after the wall fell when the Soviet Union broke apart that Iran got nuclear weapons from Kazakhstan. The way I heard it was full nuclear missiles that Kazakhstan had. And militia reports I heard said 2, but I've heard from other independent, different sources later that their actual number was 4. Now, I got this early on from somebody who had close intel from within the Huntsville defense community. As you know, I was in Huntsville, Alabama, closely connected to the defense establishment there. And furthermore, I got it again later from none less than Dr. Peter Vincent Pry, who's been on the late Dr. Pry, who's been on my channel several times. He was a friend of mine. I could actually call him and talk to him on the phone. And Dr. Pry was considered by Kurt Weldon, who used to be chair of Homeland Defense Committee, in Congress, saying that Peter Pry was the top foremost expert in Soviet weapons. So, you can't discount what Pry brought to the table, that he had same intel from some other source than I had it. And I've heard this from a couple other sources too. So it could be. We don't know for a fact, but it could be that Iran already possesses nuclear weapons. It's just ones they didn't develop themselves, which means, the triggers would have to be remade because triggers on nuclear weapons don't last that long. But they probably have the technology for that, and that's been indicated from other sources that they can build triggers. So this could be something to keep an eye on. We don't know, but those reports, and I haven't had a hard time confirming those reports. So at this point, the report that the RGC said that they were making a run for it is, basically hearsay. You can take it or leave it, but it is a possibility. And if they were with limited number of nukes, if they were to attack the United States or something like that, I would expect an EMP attack instead of a attack on cities, because they can wipe out the whole country with EMP. Whereas if you attack a city, you're just hitting one spot. So the far more damage can be done with an EMP effect. It would wipe this country out. So again, power grid is going to be the key thing to that's what we're talking about attacking there. They might reprise by attacking the same here, and it might fit within the visions that Stacy Zavicki had many years ago, presented on this channel. So something to keep an eye out for. And I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying you just need to be prepared in case it does. Hope and pray that it does not. Hope and pray that Iran is holding that card back because they don't want to elicit the full response of the American people to put boots on the ground there in a massive way. But we don't know if we're knocking out all their power. They might just go for it. Just things you've got to keep in mind, things you need to be aware of. So, trying to eliminate some of this stuff here. So, as we know, Iranian ballistic missiles hit a Israeli city here. It's just more of this tit for tat. But they hit Denoma, which is the city next to the Iranian research reactor where they produce their nuclear fuel. And a lot of people have been really scared about them hitting Dimona because they're afraid of the radiological effects of taking out that nuclear power plant. They may have targeted and missed it, or maybe they were just firing these as warning shots because they've been pretty accurate with a lot of their weapons, but these did not actually hit the power plant. Now, that said, the Dimona Nuclear Research Facility, as it's often called, is not a grid-producing power plant. It's a research reactor, and if it were hit, it would not release radiation anywhere near like a nuclear power plant that we produce our power from. It would be actually pretty minimal. So you don't have to worry about a Chernobyl-like event from that, but it would have some local effect. So let's put it in perspective. A lot of people have painted this in great fear and about taking that plant out like it would be a horrible nuclear Chernobyl type event. No, that's not expected. So I'm bringing it back to reality. I'm bringing it back to Earth that it would be a catastrophic maybe for Israel's nuclear weapons program, but they've already got so many nukes that they don't have to, they already got more than enough nukes to take care of Iran and maybe institute their Samson option if they think that they're under existential threat from Iran. So these are things to bear in mind. Their Samson option, according to some sources, include attacking European countries, maybe even the United States. Everybody around. What did Samson do? He took down everything, took down the whole house. So who knows what Israel has up their sleeve in this manner. It might be slowly toward Iran or anybody they look at as their enemies. They might attack European countries because European countries have not been supporting them of late, even though they got their initial nuclear technology from France. Hello, France. So if you're in Europe, you might need to really be paying attention because you don't have to worry about just the Ruskies anymore. You may have to worry about Iran and maybe even Israel. I don't know how that would play out. So just bear in mind that it's long been rumored that Iran had this, Israel has a Samson option, and well, Iran might have something similar. So, like I said, the 30 people were injured from that attack on Dimona, the city there. The nuclear power plant is, I think, just a few miles southeast of Dimona, if I'm right. I don't remember for sure. But let's look at the range that this Diego Garcia missile could reach. And it's this outer circle. What they thought they could reach was the inner circle. And they thought, well, they could get, some of southeastern Europe. No, now just about the entirety of Europe, all the big capital cities, except maybe Ireland and parts of Spain and Portugal, everybody else is in range. Look at this map. This is published by the Institute of Studies of War, excuse me. So this is where Diego Garcia base is, and Iran's way up here. Of course, Iran's got territory all up through here where they could squirrel launchers into and launch on cities throughout Europe. And the European leaders are supposedly somewhat panicked by this. Europe has not wanted to get involved with Iran because, for one thing, it's been rumored they have such a large Muslim population at home now. They thought it would cause problems with that element of their population in their countries. So we'll come back to that in a little bit. So something to bear in mind. Now, since they lied to us about that, and we now know they have missiles that can reach out to this outer circle, what else do they have? They've been launching satellites for a long time. They've had a long time to actually be able to develop an ICBM, because an ICBM is basically a satellite launcher. A rocket then launches a satellite, but also a satellite can contain a nuclear weapon, fly over, and just detonate and cause an EMP. So that's something you got to, you don't have to have an ICBM to launch an EMP attack on another country. If you can launch a satellite, you can launch an EMP attack. And that also goes for North Korea, which has launched satellites. And there's a lot of questions about that first satellite that North Korea launched. So, and again, this is talking about Iran. Iran actually fessed up to it and claimed it. Of course, they couldn't deny it after they launched their missiles, right? Now it's clear. So, anyway, so U.S. ships missiles toward Iran. So the United States has been taking a lot of their interceptors out of Europe and moving, and South Korea, and moving them to Iran, which makes the Europeans feel a little bit less protected. Probably the same for South Korea. So again, if you're in Europe, you need to be paying attention. You're not out of the game. So I do know I got a lot of people that come in here and watch for Europe. So this is just a heads up to you to get prepared. You too need to be prepared for whatever may come. This is not just a phenomenon for Americans to pay attention to. Everybody needs to pay attention to what's going down. And apparently, Mushtaba, however you pronounce his first name, Khamenei, is indeed alive. But the sources say that the IRGC is actually running Iran, because he is apparently not in good shape. He is somewhat still incapacitated, but even if he was really running the country, he was selected because the IRGC thought of him as a hardliner who was very much in favor of them and pretty much would let them do whatever he wanted. So he is thought to be a stooge of the IRGC. And probably if they out him, his particular persuasion, as it's rumored to be, is something that people usually wind up swinging from a tree for in Iran. So, they've got some real, shall we say, blackmail over the top of him to hold over him. So he's going to have to toe their line. Maybe that's another reason they've wanted him. A lot of elites like to have leaders they can blackmail. And that's why Epstein existed. And, Epstein, his Ghislaine Maxwell was, her father was Mossad. So there's a lot of Mossad influences in some of that. So something to keep in mind. And apparently Iran is keeping a lot of hidden weapons in reserve, which should be of no surprise to anybody, including these long-range missiles, which reached over 4,000 kilometers or 2,400 miles, 2,400 miles. So they've got a lot of range. So this was the Hormashar 4, however you pronounce that, missile. So there we go. A lot of stuff going there. We're almost halfway through our news article. So we're going to clock through this stuff fast. And we'll talk about some preps here in a minute for grid down. Yeah, the Iran war is about to escalate. Duh. Duh. Yeah, so we're looking at putting troops perhaps on the ground. Yeah, it's just this is going fast. But the funny thing is Trump's kind of talking from both sides right now. On one side he said, well, I think we're just going to pull out because we don't really need the Strait of Hormuz. It's Europeans who are dependent on it. So we'll just leave it to Europeans to keep the Strait of Hormuz open, although he's threatening Iran on this now. So we'll have to see how this plays out. It might be at some point he'll just declare victory and leave and say, okay, Europe, it's up to you. This is more your concern than ours. And if it requires boots on the ground, Europe can't do that. Europe's don't have the troops to do an operation like that. They don't have the technical capability. Europe might be able to escort ships and have some interceptors, but Europe does not have the capacity nearly like the United States does. So I'm sure Europeans are really puckering up over this, and you might say that lower sphincter of theirs is probably puckered real tight over the prospects of that. So, and maybe that's just Trump's way of goading the Europeans. I don't know. Is he going to really, he may declare, because of the political pressure on this situation. I just did a video earlier today talking about how the munitions markets and midterms are really probably going to challenge how far the United States can run and operate. And so Trump may indeed pull out. He may just declare victory and leave. And that's what the Gulf states around the region are afraid of. That's why they don't want to get too involved too early. But they have been attacked so much, their hand might be forced into it. So, and again, now we see that in Iraq, the Iranian proxies there, the proxy militias, are attacking the U.S. embassy there and other places. So they're really up in the ante and essentially opening what they call a third front in the war. So, yeah, this thing is expanding. It is accelerating, and things are happening. But Iranian protesters have come out and says, "Hey, we're going to have a revolution here, and it's just around the corner, and we can't we can't wait to finish the job." They're really saying that after what happened to the protesters, where the IRGC, the Basij forces of the IRGC, essentially mowed them down, that the hatred for the regime there is higher than ever. It's fever pitched, and so they're really saying they want to take it on, but they don't need to have the wherewithal to do it without weapons. Iran is a case study for why the Second Amendment is important. And a lot of you countries that don't have the right to arm bears need to take this in account. So, you do need means to defend yourselves from other people, but how are you going to defend yourselves from the government? Especially paramilitary forces like the Basijs of the IRGC. So those protesters got a kind of a tough hill to climb on this if they're going to achieve their ends. So they might do it by cutting off a lot of stuff within Iran and through basically guerrilla warfare. They can do a lot of destruction too if they choose to do that, and they do have some support from Israel from being able to call in airstrikes from their phones, but it's still not like them having the bang bangs are probably going to need. Maybe if we do put some boots on the ground, we can distribute stuff to them to give them the means to take care of themselves. Is that in the plans? I've heard nothing about that. So I kind of am not expecting that, but it should be in the plans. In any event, let's move on. They are not happy over there, so we're going to change topics now for a little bit. There's something else cooking that's getting really big and getting a lot of attention. It's all these drones that flew over our Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana, where a lot of our B-52s are based. The Air Force said they couldn't stop them. They couldn't hack them. They couldn't turn them back. They couldn't jam them. They said that they were military grade drones, and it was beyond their capability to deal with them. That is an unsettling prospect. They also said they were long-range drones. They weren't just little quadricopters. So again, this is why you really don't want to have foreign countries like China buying land next to all your SAC bases, all your military bases, as has been permitted to happen. And to see what can happen, all you got to think of is Operation Spiderweb, how the Ukrainians sent in drones from backs of trucks and things, and they were just using little quadricopters basically, and took out scores of strategic aircraft belonging to Russia, deep inside of Russia. That would be far easier for a power like China to do. So this could have been just a warning from China. It could have been from Iran. We don't know who launched these drones. It could have even been the drug cartels, which are in the pockets of China, by the way. So a lot to pay attention to here. A lot to be aware of. If they can do this to these Air Force bases, they could do a lot of things to the public also. So this is, again, more reason to be situationally aware, to have your eyes wide open, your head on a swivel like never before. So, again, this is a rehash of that. Some of these websites, they update their articles after you open it. So, and hey, Birmingham in England just had a big prayer service that blocked all the highways there. 30,000 Muslims went to some part there, and to have their little ceremonies or whatever you want to call it. But that just goes to show what they're dealing with in the United Kingdom, and they're concerned about these people suddenly turning on them there. So they're scared of their people within their own borders, and apparently that's one reason Starmer told Trump that, well, you can't use U.S. bases, you can't even use Diego Garcia to attack Iran, but Diego Garcia did get attacked, and Cyprus, their air base on Cyprus, which they also disallowed U.S. use on, was attacked earlier by a drone. Probably from Hezbollah, an Iranian proxy, most likely. So Israel has already fell into this, and they just are not paying attention to it. So we got a lot of ads popping up here. What in the world? Okay, is this side even gonna let me go scroll in here? Let me see if I can scroll over here using this bar. All right. And another area, we're going to talk about robotics. China is not just talking about robotic taxis. They've got robotic delivery vehicles now. What do we say? They was going to make up for the shortfall in their labor force through the extensive use of robotics. Well, they're already starting it. They're already starting that, my friends. So watch out. And I warned that China could use that not only make up for their shortfall in demographics, which geopolitical analyst Peter Zion said that China would be not existent in 10 years. He's been telling us that for at least 15 years, that China only had 10 years to run. But they're coming up with ways to deal with that, and robotics plays heavily into that for making up for the shortfall in demographics, and also for expanding their military. And I showed you on a recent video their new robotic horse, which was something I predicted many months ago, and they're way ahead of development on this stuff, even beyond what I had projected. So humanoid robots are getting cheaper. So they're spreading. You might see them, in your own home one day. Who knows? But that also says their capabilities are expanding. This is why you can also expect to see them in combat. But now there's a new AI-evolved adaptable robot they claim is almost impossible to destroy. They say you can even break it in half, break it in pieces, and it can still operate because it has a distributed intelligence and control system architecture within it, and it's built out of components. I don't know if you see all these knobs. It's like assembled from smaller pieces, and any of these pieces can operate independently. Apparently, this is a really weird robot, but apparently it can go through all kinds of terrain and run. This article. Let me scroll down and show you some other pictures of it. It just shows you. Look at this thing slogging through the water, running like a dog or a wolf. It's really an all-terrain kind of thing. Now, here's apparently a couple pieces that must have been flipped. It looks like it's in the air there. I don't know what the heck that is. But yeah, it can operate many different ways. Here's just parts of it still operating on a beach. So this thing is a really oddball thing that can move around and do different things. So this is just the beginning, guys. What's coming next? This is, like I said, this is an early stage. We're going to do weather. I'm going to talk about preps. I'll read through look at all the earthquakes. Yeah, okay, USGS doesn't show everything. Apparently, they also downgrade. We know they downgrade some of this stuff. But did it just pop out? Oh, shoot. Let me stick it back up here. USGS is it's the government's earthquake reporting site, U.S. government. But this is set for more than 2.5. I can set it for lower, and you'll see there's a lot more earthquakes than this. As Shaggy has pointed out to us in the past. Kamchatka is still rocking a lot. There's a 5.1 on the Kamchatka Peninsula. We got something over here in Hawaii, 3.8. There's always big earthquakes around here. It's Tonga, we're close to where we had that big volcano. Mid-Atlantic Ridge is 6.6. Our Puerto Rican friends are dancing heavy. A lot of stuff still going on down in South America. There's a 5.6. They had some big earthquakes down there yesterday. We got some stuff in them still happening here. And Italy, they got some big super volcano over there in Italy, the Campi Lefergi, whatever they call it, that could really spoil life in Europe. Toronto, look at this. Where's that one? Is it right at Toronto? How come it won't click? Sometimes my clicker don't work. All right, that's in New York. Henderson, New York, 2.8. Oops. I'm trying to drag something. We got something over here. Oklahoma, Rattler City in Oklahoma, 3.2. We got some people on our channel, comes on our channel a lot from Oklahoma. It was windy in the house. Did you feel that? Well, they've had a lot of fires in Oklahoma, guys, and some fires in other places in the Midwest. And we've had some crazy weather. It's been cold in the east, hot in the west, and not nearly enough rainfall. Here at the vertex of the Juan de Fuca Fault, we got 2.9. There's a lot of earthquakes there. Something funny is going on with that fault. Is that going to help trigger the subduction zone earthquake a lot of people are worried about out here? In which now we know the subduction zone and the San Andreas are linked. One goes off, the other goes off. The whole left coast could unzip all at once. So that would be catastrophic to anybody on the left coast of the United States and West Wokistan. It's Chewy Weather in the house. He don't stay up so much late. He's working a lot now. Space weather. We're going to talk space weather here in a minute. So I'm trying to get through the news fast today. So we had a big storm that caused, I didn't see these probably because I was busy setting up my live session last night, but there were some auroras visible down here in Arizona yesterday. Interesting. I wish I went outside and peeked and saw that. I did see the ring here, and I thought it wasn't far enough south, so I didn't bother. Had I saw it, had I understood, I would have went out and looked. Pardon me. Sunspots don't appear to be too ugly right now. That's probably the one that kicked out the one that hit us earlier. So we can't get that back. Anyway, let's go down here and look at. This thing don't want to scroll. My touchpad's not working on this computer. The camera don't work. She's burning up on me. She's got memory chip. The graphics chip has failed. So if we're looking ahead at any asteroid that's coming between the Earth and the Moon, there's none we know of except this one in April on the 14th. We're still down to that one. But, there's always a bunch of them that pass that we discover after they zip past us, usually smaller ones, 3 meters, 4 meters in diameter. And, of course, we got a couple of them. One went off over Ohio, one went off over Texas, loud booms in those areas. So, just things can happen. Things can happen. All right, I'm going to stop the share. Hello. We want to talk about preps here. All right, Justin Kisser, you're in, I said it was Kisser. I don't know. You're in Oklahoma. Okay. Did you feel that earthquake? Hey, we got all the sun in the house. I'm Alice Sun, and she's all the sun. Anyway, so guys, in April the 27th of 2011, we had an EF5 that went close to my house when I lived in Tony, Alabama, which is just north of Huntsville. That tornado cut across, I guess, Mississippi, went all the way almost into Tennessee. It was a long track tornado, EF5. It was the second one that basically had almost the same ground track, didn't vary very much from one that hit 93, another EF5. And we had a lot of other tornadoes, but those were really super strong ones. And that thing, no, it wasn't 93, it was 95, I believe, that we had that first EF5 that passed close to my house. Within like a mile, I had shrapnel from other people's homes all over my property. It's kind of horrible to see that, especially knowing that a lot of people lost their lives in those tornadoes. There were big mansions, big, brick covered mansions made of stone and brick that were just all that was left was a slab. Clean them out completely. EF5, the only way to get away from it is to run or go underground. Those are serious tornadoes. Well, it started it went up close to Browns Ferry nuclear power plant. It just missed Browns Ferry. Thank God it missed Browns Ferry, but it took down, it went almost down, those big high transmission power lines that, stand up tall. It went down a whole row of those for miles and just wiped them out. And so we were out of power for a week, and I thought we'd be out of power for a month. The only reason we got power when we did is Redstone Arsenal shut down and deferred all their power into the grid. So the community could stand back up again. And Redstone Arsenal does have a generator. They burn waste. The local municipal waste is burnt there and turned into electrical power. And so they actually had a generator, and they surrendered all their power to the local communities, and they did some patchwork stuff to get the grids back up, even though the main grid line was down, the main transmission line. Now, I was amazed they were able to get it up in a week, but I was driving north hunting generators. I had to go all the way, I had to get all the way to Bowling Green to find one in Kentucky. Because everywhere I got, they just got cleaned out before I got there. And I found that it was either Home Depot, I believe. I found two generators I bought there. So, you need to have generators ahead of time for something like this if you're using generator power. I got generators out here. Generators are not a long-term solution for a power down, grid down situation. And they'll do you for a short time. If you get some really good ones like a Generac, it might last a year before you got to have maintenance on it. Some of these generators won't last but a few weeks and they'll die. I know I've replaced three of them actually, brand new ones, within a span of just a few months. So all these people, oh, generators will get me through. No, no, generators are terrible. And not mention they're loud and they take a lot of fuel and they're very expensive to run. But if you got generators, make sure you have enough fuel, put fuel stabilizer in the tanks, and make sure you got enough oil, especially if you got a big grid down. You're not going to be buying oil or anything else. And remember the adage, three is two, two is one, and one is none. So you better have some redundancy, especially in view of what I just told you about their lack of reliability. They just don't last long. Even when you're changing the oil every week or every 8 hours, as some of them tell you in their plans, I mean, you really change the oil in these things a lot. So you do need a lot of lubricant from. Make sure you got enough lubricant for your vehicles. And, make sure your gas tanks are full. And if you got some extra gas, store it in a safe place, not in your home, nowhere where if the gas cans blow up, it's going to put you or your family in danger. You might just set up a little blockhouse somewhere outside. You don't have to mortar the blocks together. Just set them on top of each other, put a little tin roof on them, put some blocks on that so it don't blow off. That's a quick and dirty way, and make sure the air can pass through it. That's a quick and dirty way to build a gas storage facility for your gas cans. Mine are sitting outside under my solar arrays, so they're out of the sun, but they're in open air. So if they vent, it won't be all contained in a small place. So that's one prep for you. Another prep is I had kerosene lamps in all my rooms. You can have candles too. Just remember, candles are easy to knock over. You can knock over kerosene heater lamp too. A lot of fires are started and things like that. So make sure you put them in a good location where they're not likely to get knocked over. Especially if you got cats running around the house like I got. You want to make sure that something can't inadvertently knock that over and catch your house on fire. Candles will put out a little bit of light, but not a lot. Kerosene lamp puts out a fair good of light. I've had kerosene lamps for a long time because I knew from way back that there was a possibility of a grid down. And I also had camp stoves. I cooked on camp stoves. The whole week, I didn't have any problems. I had food storage. I had camp stoves. I was able to cook in my house. A lot of people were cooking their barbecue grills, but a lot of people didn't have enough. A lot of people had neighbors when the thing happened was everybody was inviting me over because they were cooking everything in their freezers because they were about to lose everything, so they just went and cooked everything. Had a big barbecue, for the first couple of days of the grid down that we had. But that don't last long, so you better have some long-term food storage. I've talked about that a lot in the past, but canned food will last a long time, my friends. Beans, rice, that kind of dried beans, dried rice, that kind of stuff too will last for a long time. What do you have to cook on? Again, yeah, you might consider a camp stove. Yeah, I did use it in my house. But you need to keep a couple windows cracked or something like that if you're burning something like that in your house. Same way with heat, like if you're using a My Buddy heater. Or a kerosene heater. Back in that day, I kept kerosene heaters in my house, and that's how it was my primary way I heated my home. In the wintertime, I just had a big kerosene heater, and I had a big house. It would heat the whole house. But kerosene was a lot cheaper out east than it is here. Kerosene here is god awful expensive. It's just not practical in this area. But I've got my buddy propane heater, and that's how I've heated this house this past winter. I've got a wood stove now I can use, but so that's my backup is my wood stove because you won't be able to buy kerosene for long. So if you're using kerosene, I mean propane, make sure you've got plenty of it to last for a while, and make sure you got that stored safely too. Now, some people, you got big propane tanks or big natural gas LP tanks, as they call them, liquid propane. Uh, that lasts a long time. If you've got one of those, get it filled because prices are going up. Uh, and above all, you need means to grow your own food. That's the most important thing I tell you. But I'll tell you, if you're just growing food where you're going every spring to buy plants and buying fertilizer and buying seeds, you're not in a winning game because those stores aren't going to be open. You better buy you some heirloom seeds, start composting. If you can get worms and use them. And no, I'm not selling worms right now. I may set up a deal with a friend of mine to be able to get y'all worms for a while. I'm looking into that. But I may eventually return to selling worms nationally. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. It just depends on if I can get good, reliable local labor that's in for the long term. I've got some prospects for that, but we'll have to see how that goes. I'm not going to get into that. I invested a lot of money in that in Alabama, and I lost the labor source and I lost my investment, which was very substantial. So I'm not going to go down that road again unless I know I've got reliable labor to help out with that. That cost me everything almost. That was catastrophic for me. Being reliant on a labor source that just went poof. Don't go there if you can avoid it. I really know who you're going to have working for you if you're trying to build something that big. But a worm farm that's small that you can maintain yourself can be a good profit center. It could be a good way get by and hedge the bets for that and a big garden where you can sell vegetables for fixed income situations, like if you're on Social Security or something like that. Hey, go to the farmers market. You remember I sold a lot of stuff at farmers markets. I used to do a lot of videos there. So these are things to take into mind. But what else did I have? How did I survive the grid? One of the key things I had that really made a difference to me. I'm never a TV watcher, but I used to sometimes turn it on as I went about my chores back in the days, and I would kind of listen to it. I don't even do that now. But what I do, what I did then is I had radios. And the radios were essential because that's how I got news about curfews and what was going on, the progress of the power getting restored and things like that. I had just a small portable radio, and I listened to that, and that was my source for news. So a small portable radio, have flashlights, have batteries, backup batteries, lots of batteries. I used to have a battery rechargers and rechargeable batteries. I got to restock up on that, but I do have a ton of batteries in my solar battery building. I'm off grid. I live entirely on solar now, and I come to you through Starlink satellite. So, I'm kind of resilient from some of the immediate effects of a grid down, but if a grid down occurs, anything that I would be counting on getting from the store isn't going to be there. So that's just something to bear in mind. Another thing is right now with the war starting up, you got to take into account that the price of ammo is probably going to go up. The availability is probably going to go down, especially if we put ground troops in the ground there, because all the ammo manufacturers will be switching over to supplying the military. We're talking, small arms ammo. So if you're not stocked up on that now, it's a good time to think about it. I don't have any problems in that regard. So think about that. I made sure that I would have enough that if I had to go hunting for pretty much the rest of my life, I would be set. I got no issues in that department. So things to think about. What do you need to do for your vehicles? Does your vehicle, if we get an EMP, a lot of the newer vehicles got so many computers and electronics distributed throughout them, they're going to be susceptible to failure. If you just got like one computer, you might buy another one and put it in a Faraday cage. You might want to have solar charge controllers in a Faraday cage. My building will provide some protection. I don't have backups for that just yet. I'm putting all my money into trying to expand my garden and getting good mulch in it. So that's taking every penny I can scrape right now. So I'm not in a good position for the backups in that regard at this point in time. But if you can take that into consideration, is Colorado Jam House? Uh, these are all things that you've got to pay a lot of attention to. And just think about what you use on a daily basis. Again, the basic that I've always covered is water. My first video on prepping, how to prep, was really many methods to purify and sanitize water. And they are two different things. And all your little soda straws aren't necessarily good, like the Sawyer straw. It will filter out Giardia. Most of your filters will take out Giardia and a lot of bacteria, but you can't count on them to taking out viruses. They purify the water. They don't sanitize it. Sanitizing is killing everything in the water. And I've talked about how to do that in that video. Go back and sit. I've talked about use of bleach. I talked about use of small plastic bottles in the sun, letting the UV do the work for you. I've talked about glass bottles glass stops UV. You can't use a glass bottle. It needs to be plastic in this case. I've talked about boiling water and a lot of things like that. So go back and watch that video. I went into great detail about it there. I talked about how to basically build a filter out of plastic bottles. Now, if you're using plastic bottles, you got a small filter, you're going to have to run it through a whole bunch of times to purify it, quite a bit. But if you set them up and use a lot of sand and gravel and such and put them in like 5-gallon buckets, a series of those, that'll work a lot better. Just a lot of things to think about and get ready for. If you got long-term food storage, if you can seal it in airtight Mylar bags or something like that, you're ahead of the game. Some of you are already all over that, and I celebrate you for that. Car batteries is magic with a generator. Boy, car batteries sure can wear out. Now, I do have flooded lead acid batteries in my battery building. Let me go check the water level on them. That's something I need, especially since it's getting hot again. And it is doing that. We've had a really warm start for spring. It got to 92 degrees today. That's the highest temperature, probably a record for a year. I think down in the valley, southern Arizona, I've seen reports of 112 or something like that. Crazy hot down there. I'm in the cooler part of the state. It's usually cold up here, relatively speaking, compared to those guys. So I'm a mile high, just in case y'all don't know it. Northern Arizona is high altitude, and it's a lot cooler in northern Arizona than lower Arizona, which everybody here calls the valley. And so there's a lot to be considered in that regard. So, my friends, just have everything used on the daily, but water is going to be the most crucial thing. And if you're going to bug out, make sure you can have some good shelter, because the elements and clothing, a range of clothing for whatever kind of temperature extremes you might need to face. But don't pack down an 80-pound pack like a lot of preppers show you and think you're going to go out hiking through the woods. That's too much weight. You shouldn't be carrying more than 10 or 15% of your body weight. And if you're an old geezer like me, not even that much. I mean, 10% is a high number. You might want to consider, how can you survive carrying the least amount of stuff? Now, some of these other prepper channels are trying to sell you a lot of stuff, and they will show a ginormous bag packed down with everything you can imagine. And don't go there. Forget that. You ain't gonna be able to hump it very far. Now, if you're traveling in a vehicle and it's a vehicle bag, hey, fine. But if you got to go off road and you got to hike through the woods, no, that's too much. Now, if you can make it back to your vehicle periodically, and if nobody breaks in and steals whatever you got in there, it might be okay. You might put some long-term food stores, some canned food and things like that in your vehicle that you wouldn't up over the hill with. But you got to expect that vehicle may be broken into. Can you establish hidden compartments in that vehicle? Of course, they may steal the vehicle too. So hide your vehicle if you can. Cover it up with brush. If you got a vehicle that blends into the terrain best. If you're using bicycles, you might want to paint your bicycle black and ride it at night with no lights, or you may want to paint it camo for whatever your local terrain is. So it's easy to hide off the highway, off the road, if you're going to go hiking away from it. Bicycle is a good way to get by in a time like that, as long as you got air in the tires. Carry a pump. If you get flats, you carry some little patches. But at some point, that all may wear out. So don't count on that as a forever solution, but it might get you by a lot longer than a car. An e-bike might work, but just remember the e-bike batteries could go into thermal runaway and burn your house down. So you might want to store it somewhere, kind of like you store your gasoline. But if you got solar in it, I don't have an e-bike. That's been something I've been toying around with down the road, and I'm getting old now. I do have a bunch of bicycles, but at some point, an e-bike might make sense for no geezer like me. And a lot of you are the same age as me. I know I see the demographics on my channel. So something for y'all to think about. E-bikes might be a good thing to do. They have camo covers for vehicles. Yes, they do. So it's all things to take into considerations: how to hide your vehicles, how to hide your bicycles, whatever you're traveling in, your backpack, if you got to put it down somewhere. If you know places you're going, you can set up caches. These are points where you can store food and supplies. And even if you're a prepper and you got everything stored in your home, you might want to go outside and do some digging and hide stuff on your property or some other places where you know it might be safe. It may not even be on your property, places you know you got access to. Just don't forget where you put them, and store some of that long-term storage food. Put it underground, but seal it so that the moisture won't spoil it, so that it won't mold. It's got to be hermetically sealed. So, and some people store weapons and ammo same way. Not a bad idea, especially if somebody's coming around collecting stuff one day. So these are all things to consider. Consider means of self-defense. And because if things get really bad, the hungry hordes might be knocking on your door. So keep all that in mind. Now, I've dreamed about those kind of situations. Like, what are you going to do when it happens? How are you going to deal with it? You got to run through your mind how you would actually deal with such things. Different people have different thresholds for how they deal with such things. I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but you better be thinking about that. Because you can find yourself in some very uncomfortable situations very fast. Loose lips sink ships. So telling everybody you're a prepper, like going on YouTube and say, "Hey, I'm a prepper. Here's how to prep." It's probably not the brightest thing in the world, but I do live now on a long dead end road, and I don't advertise. Very few people know my actual address. I don't use this as a mail-in address. Mail wouldn't come here anyway. They couldn't even get here if they wanted to. Delivery trucks that aren't coming here. Nobody comes here unless they're coming specifically to see me, and I know in advance when they're coming. So just keep seeds. Amen. So these are all things to think about with a grid down. I'm not talking about this kind of stuff extent. I've talked about it a little bit. I've gave off little slight hints on several of my videos recently, but it just occurred to me that the risk of the grid going down may be rising, and I need to go in more depth about it. So this channel started out as an urban gardening channel and evolved into a prepping channel, and evolved more into just a news channel, and then I've had more of a geopolitical news thrust of late. But part of that still is prepping. And given the situations we're facing today, you've got to understand and be ready for whatever may come your way. And the good thing about preps, you can use them later. You can use them for food down the road to save money if you buy them before the food prices go up. And food prices are going up. So anytime you're buying long-term food storage, that's an investment right now. You just got to remember, eventually you got to consume it. So you want to rotate food stores too. And do bear in mind that you do have to have a way to open them. If you've got an electric can opener and that's all you got, that's not going to do. But I did a video one time talking about my 3 favorite knives. One of them was a K-bar Marine Corps knife, and one of them was my bolo knife because I could use it. It had a big blade on the end. I can use it as a shovel. And when I was a kid camping out, I didn't take shovels with me. I didn't take axes with me. I didn't take hatchets with me. I took my bolo knife because it could double as a weapon, a shovel, an axe, a fire tinder, and a knife, clear brush. I used it for all above. It was a multi-tool, a very simple multi-tool. But my other favorite knife is this Tinker knife. It's and these are a little bit hard to find. I know you can get them at Ace Hardware. Some places carry them. Yeah, you can't really order it from Victronics anymore, the makers of the Swiss Army knives, but you can find it in some stores. The Tinker knife has a blade, which is very useful for opening cans. It's this blade. When I was in the Army, and when I went in the Army, we ate C rations. We didn't have MREs when I first went in the Army, and they gave us something we called a P-38, named after the aircraft that would, basically sink ships. Remember the two-tail P-38? Well, they named that little foldable aluminum device they put on our dog chain a P-38, and it operated like this for opening a can. This one's a little more robust than the P-38 they gave us, but I opened a whole lot of C-Rat cans with the P-38s. I probably still got my old P-38s. I think I had two of them. I still got them upstairs somewhere. But this device here, you hook it on a can, like this piece here, and you just walk around it, pushing down, and it will cut open a can. Now, there are the manual can openers you buy in the store. You can get those too, but those things don't last long. They tend to wear out and break. These are very reliable. That's the best can opener that you can have and grid down right there, bar none. P-38. Who else tells you that? And this is, not a very expensive knife. It is a Swiss Army knife. You get a toothpick and pliers. You get a cross tip screwdriver. One of these blade points is a flat tip screwdriver. And you've got quite a few. You got a little small flat tip. You got a larger flat tip here. And this also can open bottles, bottle opener, can opener. It's got a kind of a pick on the back of it. So it's got a lot of capabilities. And it's not a ginormous thing with spoons and forks and all that junk you're not going to carry in your pocket. This is comfortable to carry in the pocket. And that's another reason I like the Tinker knife. It's a small, compact Swiss Army knife that has a lot of capacity. So I can pull this blade out. Hang on, this one's getting pretty tight. That's your punch. And see, you can use it to sew with, actually, like leather goods and stuff like that. So this little knife packs a punch. So I'd say with a K-bar, as a defense knife, the bolo knife, you can use a machete, but it's not as good a multi-tool as a bolo knife. Occasionally you can find bolo knives. They're not as easy to find. You might find one at a flea market if you're lucky. If you can find one, grab it. I still got the first one I bought when I was 12 years old. So I've had that knife for quite a few years, and I still have it to this day. And I got two of them now, and I got a ton of machetes. I even got some sabers. But and I have various hunting knives, and we've got let's see here, our good friend who's in the house tonight. I thought he was in the house tonight. Ding, 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 ding. Let's see here. Go back through the chat here. Yeah, Rodney Middleton. He's a master knife maker. He makes some of the best hunting knives you'll ever find. So Rodney Middleton's in the house tonight. He is a master knife maker. He makes some beautiful, good, durable, heavy-duty knives. You can use for hunting knives, kitchen knives. He makes parent, all kind of knives. So he is a really good master knife maker. So maybe you can approach him. Maybe you can buy some knives off him. But he's in the house tonight. Get a Bible. There you go. Have a Bible, definitely. Pack of playing cards. If we have a nuclear war, I got a couple folding tables I'm going to throw over these desks here, and I'm going to pile it up with stuff on top just to put mass on top, and I can just be right here on the floor and deal with the radiation. But I've also dug a pit for it's odd where the light went in on my video. I dug a pit for a root cellar. I got to put a roof on it, but once that's done, I can use that as a pretty good sized fallout shelter. So I'm heading toward building a full up fallout shelter, and I may build some others down the road just for demo. So these are all things to take into account. and be able to drive a hatchet like a scarecrow. Well, if you got hatchets, yeah. A lot of hatchets have a blunt end on one end so they can double as a hammer, or you could use a hammer to help knock it through some wood. I've got hatchets, I got axes, but if I'm going packing lightweight, I'm just carrying my bolo knife, my K-bar, uh, and my Swiss Army knife. Now I carry a Swiss Army. I put a Tinker Swiss Army knife in each pocket, and that's not the only thing I put in each pocket. Are some things some things I put in my pockets bark. I got my pet nugs, and they bark pretty loud. I have to feed kibbles to them, and the kibbles are best served hot, if you know what I mean. Don't forget toilet paper. Well, you got to remember, yeah, you can carry a few squares with you, but you might want to consider what are the local resource, what grows in your area that you could use in lieu of toilet paper if you have to. And you're building a rocket to bug out to the moon. And I'm trying to, Stray Kit, and I'm working on it. Hey, that's a rocket motor right there. That is a rocket motor. We fired it. That rocket motor right there fired 1,400 pounds of thrust. So, yeah, I got a rocket motor behind me. How many other preppers, how many other YouTubers have a rocket motor sitting next to them in their study? So, crowbar. Crowbar is heavy, especially if you carry a large one, maybe a small one. If you, yeah, and that's good for a big one's fine for a vehicle. Maybe a multi-tool uh, or two. If you ever watched the Survivor, man, he was real big on multi-tools. But that's my bolo knife and my tinker are pretty good little multi-tools in their own right. But you can get them with the pliers and different things like that. Those are handy. And I've had two or three of them, or four or five or 10. I don't know where any of them are right now. All this moving stuff's got jumbled up. I should probably get them. I used to carry one on me all the time. I don't know, something happened to it somewhere along the way. But multi-tools are pretty important to have too. So just keep all these things in mind. These are things that you need to do to be prepared for a grid down, because grid down, you don't have to have a terrorist event to give you a grid down. The sun can take our power grid down completely, and eventually, if we don't get it hard, it will. Point blank. Our grid will go down. A lot of people say, well, the government's going to take our grid down. You know how the government take our grid down? Do what exactly they're doing now? Nothing. Because if you do nothing, eventually it's going to go down. And that's something I've always told you. They don't have to do anything to bring our grid. All they got to do is just wait in the sun to do it for them. So that's something to take into account. Hacking is another thing that can be used to attack our grid and other critical infrastructure in this country. So hacking attacks, cyber attacks are something to consider too. There's plenty of people that can hack. The Chinese got us hacked at one side and down the other. North Korea's got a lot of hackers. Iran's got a lot of hackers. Russia's got a lot of hackers. And then probably the stinking drug gangs have a lot of hackers. And we know they're flying some sophisticated drones and other things. So um, they're the drug cartels basically got their own military. They're very equipped, and there's been rumors that they're talking about coming across our border and staging an invasion, especially if things go south here. So that's something else to consider. And not to mention, they've already got units all here in the United States, maybe not armed up fully militarily, but they are armed, the gangs. And some people want to have our border right open. And some people really resist us going around trying to deport such people. That's kind of, it don't add up to me, because these people are a threat to our security here at home. But these people want to stand in the way of those that are trying to do the basic job to secure our country. I got a little bit of a issue with that. But, I don't know what y'all think about that, but I got some issue with that personally. Don't get in the way of law enforcement doing their job. So, in any event, these are just things I wanted to bring out to you guys as a good prepping talk on the end of this power grid risk that we're facing. So, all right, I'm done preaching. I've talked about prepping. I've got videos on it from earlier in my channel talking about how to survive a nuclear war, how to survive a grid down. how to even eliminate a sniper. I've talked about tactics. So things I have not heard any other YouTuber talk about. I've talked about a lot of detailed stuff like that in some other videos. So you may want to go back and look at those videos and consider those. Look for them in my older videos. Any form of EMF overload can burn us. Uh, it's mostly going to be a threat to your electrical stuff, Samuel. Not so much to you, but electric, high, well, a very high power load of EMF could affect you. We got the Havana syndrome, things like that. I don't expect you're going to see it quite like that from an EMP. But if somebody has a directed microwave weapon, now most of those are tuned with a high frequency, so they don't go past your dead skin cells, but you're going to get hot real fast. But then, there are other types of weapons, a little bit lower frequency microwave weapons that can do fundamental damage to you. So these are things. Yes, those people are terrorists. A lot of them are here. So these are all things to take into account. So just you got to be situationally aware above all other things. When you go into the area, just kind of look around. Make sure there ain't somebody on a rooftop that could be a sniper. Is anybody acting strange? You keep your eyes wide open, head on a swivel. Don't let your guard down. If you're in a public place, especially if you're in public transportation, on a bus, a train, don't get all absorbed in your phone where you forget everything around you. We've already seen multiple cases of people that lost their life in that kind of situation. They were so absorbed on their phone, they got attacked and they didn't know it was coming. So be very situationally aware. Don't let your guard down on a bus, on a train, on a subway, whatever. Look and go through Thompson still, look it up. What depends on what kind you got. Anyway, so these are all things to bear in mind. Now, my good buddy Doug, who's got Uncommon News 777 channel, he's done a lot of testing for different kinds of plating and armor, personal body armor. And there's other channels that do the same thing. Some of it's stuff you can make yourself. So you might want to pay some attention to that. I bought a vest one time for that kind of stuff. I keep it at that, and I got a couple of style helmets, a gas mask. You might say, well, I'm thinking, well, nobody's going to come back here in the middle of nowhere and put down a bunch of VX agent or mustard agent. And any nuclear fallout would probably be minimal around here, and I could, shelter for it. But fires are a possibility anywhere. Fire smoke. I've seen some pretty heavy fire smoke here. Especially if you're in an area, urban area, a fire could be burning vehicles and all kind of stuff. A lot of nasty chemicals that could do you a lot of harm if you inhaled them. And a gas mask with a good filter can take that out. So a good gas mask is something to keep in mind. A good gas mask, if you can afford it. They're not that expensive. Sometimes you can get them from surplus military stores, but you may not get the filters to go. So make sure you can get the gas mask and get the filters. Now, the filter that comes in is probably good for, a day or two, and that may be all you'll need it. But, if times get real bad, you get forest fires, and God knows we've had a lot of places where we've had a lot of fires in recent years. So there's a lot more to take into account for prepping. It's not just for the end of the world events. A lot of everyday events occur where your preps come in handy. When we had that grid down situation I just mentioned to you, I was already prepping. That was in 2011. I was ready. When the bug broke out in 2020, I had all my stuff, I already had all my TP and paper towels and stuff. And so that's why I was laughing when I went to the store and everybody was panicking and filling their grocery carts up with toilet paper and paper towels, and they were lined up to the back of the Sam's Club. It was late night. I always went late night because I wanted to go when nobody was there to buy my coffee supplies. I ran a coffee fund at work. And I was shocked. The parking lot was full. I thought, what? That's really close. There weren't so many people here. I walked in. And all these people are in panic mode and they're buying toilet paper. And that just blew my mind. I thought it was hilarious. I did a live video and some people scolded me for laughing at them. It's like, well, dummies, they should have known ahead of time. How many of us out here been preaching this and they don't listen? Nothing's ever going to happen. Nothing ever does happen. And so when it does happen, they panic. And what I tell you guys, never panic. I've said that from the get-go. Never, ever panic. Because when you panic, you lose your head, and you might really lose your head, literally. So you got to keep your wits about you. But if you're prepped ahead of time, you don't have to react like that. I always say, don't be scared, be prepared. Once you've done the best you can do, and you know you're right with your maker, and you've done everything you can to protect yourself and your family, then you don't have anything to regret. There's always more you can do, but you can't always do everything because there's limited budgets unless you're a millionaire and can go to Atlas and say, hey, I want one of your big underground bunker things, multi-million dollar or blah, 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 or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah, you can spend hundreds of thousands. The rich billionaires are spending millions and millions of dollars putting these things in their work. You don't really need all that in most cases. But if that makes you feel more comfortable and you got the money to spend on it, hey, go for it. I can't afford that, but I'm comfortable with what I have. But then again, I am living in my bug out location. And I'm very glad I'm away from Browns Ferry nuclear power plant now, as I really worry about those spent fuel rods going off there. The closest nuclear power plant's way down in southwest Arizona, and I don't think too much stuff's going to get to me from there. So I'm not sure the heavier stuff will fall at first. I'm 35 and ready to get out of here. Where are you at, Mariana? If you're living near a big city, you're not in a good place. If you're living near a strategic military base, especially when it stores nukes or has strategic weapons like B-52s, ICBMs, you're probably not in a good place. You need to think about those things. Well, how close are you to a nuclear power plant? These are all things to take into consideration. You might want to get away from such things. I'm in an area where most people are preppers by default. So there's going to be the higher your proportion of preppers to non-preppers, the less people it's going to be looking at you as long pork. Don't be the long pork. Vitamins, yes, have vitamins. Get antibiotics. I've got some colloidal silver. It might be something to take into account. Stuff that's antiviral, antibacterial. Oil of oregano is real good as both an antibacterial and antiviral. Not familiar with that channel. Somebody talking about another channel on here. All right, so anyone know Jurassic Liars 26 channel? I never heard of that. Never heard of that. It's like a local TV channel or something. Um, and anything anybody says on YouTube, check it out. Everything I bring to you, you can verify it. The only thing is that I have brought some stuff to you that nobody else has talked about, like when I was talking about how China could develop genetic super soldiers, how they already have programs. Well, I showed articles on that part, but I showed you what they were, where they would go on that. And on the robotics, I brought a detailed plan for how China could pay for all that stuff, even with their economy crashing. I said how they could and why they would do it, and they're actually doing it. So it was almost like prophecy. But I'm an engineer. I bring a lot of stuff I bring you comes from my engineering background, stuff like that. When I talk about robotics and the kinds of things that you might face in that regard, drones. There are some shotgun shells. There's a company, what's the name of that company? Maverick, I believe, sells 12 gauge shotgun shells that are anti-drone. Some kid in Ukraine come up with this, I believe. He was in high school, and basically his concept was nets that would go inside these shotgun shells. Well, you can buy them now. They're not cheap, but it might take out smaller drones if it getting too close to you. Now, if you live a long ways out, the likelihood of smaller drones being a threat to you are not as great because they don't have as much range. Now, the Predator drones go a long way. There's always drones that be up out in the sky so high you can't even see them. They can be tracking you thermally. So these are all things to think about. Big city life will make things much more difficult. Yeah, what you're going to have is the cities are a food desert. and that's why you're going to wind up with a lot of cannibals. And you'll find yourself being the long pork real fast in a big city or anywhere near one. So it's the things to think about. If you got a lot of drug gangs in your look, drugs are everywhere, but if you got some major drug gang activity in your area, those drug gangs will become like warlords. They will try to rule by taking whatever they can. And there's other people will do that too. I made a video sometimes back with a local prepper that lived in my Huntsville community talking about Billy Bob, what Billy Bob would do. So, number 4, birdshot. There you go. There you go. Now you're talking. Yeah, you may not need a net. Birdshot is a lot cheaper, a whole lot cheaper. I'm glad I'm in Alaska and food is plentiful. Yeah, salmon. That's good stuff. Running rivers up there. Big animals. Moose is those moose will feed you for a year. One get big old moose. Hello from Louisiana, an hour from Barksdale. Wow. You may be far enough away not to have to worry so much about fallout, but you'll get some from Barksdale if it gets hit. Uh, yeah, we're just talking about Barksdale earlier in this video, so if you hadn't caught it, you want to hit the rewind and catch that part of my video where I'm talking about all those drones that was flying over Barksdale Air Force Base. That's the problem. Everybody talks about what we'll do if we get in a nuclear war and how we're going to respond. You can't bank on it. When we have adversaries that have property near all our strategic bases, and they can put up drone fleets and take out our aircraft. They could take out our doomsday plane before it launches. They could attack the same way the Ukrainians attacked Russian bombers, or they could just have an agricultural sprayer and fly over and spray fentanyl, which is readily available to these drug gangs, and everybody will be doing the funky chicken on the ground as they croak. So these are things that, to take into account. Those big transmitters in Washington State and Maine and in Hawaiian Islands that are used to communicate with our subs are already targeted. They know exactly where they are, and they've got them selected to hit. And local sleeper cells have targeted them, and they're also targeted with nuclear weapons from Russia and China and probably North Korea if they attack us, because they want to limit our ability to use our subs. And you can bet the doomsday planes would be targeted too. And man pads, as the shoulder fired or man pad type systems to take out aircraft directly when they're taking off is another thing to be concerned about, especially when you got drug gangs that may have some of this stuff, and you've got all these sleeper cells in this country. And man pads can be made. You don't have to buy that stuff. If you can build a rocket motor like this, like I built 26 years ago, yeah, you can make man pads. Oh yeah, and we had some very sophisticated electronics on our systems too, and they were made out of a couple of garages. You think they can't do stuff like that? If you think that, you think again. Yeah, I have potassium iodine for a nuclear event, but also applesauce is pretty good. Keep some applesauce around because that can get some of that stuff flushed out of your intestines. So you try and protect your thyroid, stuff you ingest. These are different things that you could use. Plenty of Narcan, and should something like that happens, NYPD passes it out frequently. Oh, okay. I don't think I'd want to be in New York City. That's the last place I'd want to be. New York City, Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles. You get that big San Andreas fault ripping, and Los Angeles, all those big highways collapse, bridges collapse. Los Angeles is a big bowl. And then the only thing you can get in and out be the coming in by aircraft or the sea. You won't be able to get in or out. You got you got over 10 million people living in that basin, and they're going to be in a world of hurt. If it gets real bad, they're going to be in a world of hurt there. I'm in Arkansas, EFF big cities. Yeah, Arkansas is, especially in northwest Arkansas, anywhere near the Ozarks is a really good place to be. But there's a lot of places in Arkansas that are remote enough that you would do well in. So I'm going to read through the chat more extensively, just kind of scroll through it real quick, and then we'll do our egg guess and we'll call it a night here in a minute. Hang on, guys. So I'm probably won't read every message because it's already 2 a.m. And I didn't get in bed this morning until 4:10 in the morning after doing my last video, and I had somebody come up here this morning, a mechanic that was going to work for me. Arnold, Rodney, I don't think it's going to the very beginning of the chat here. Let's see. I can miss not scrolling. I have to scroll by. My keypad just ain't working. My touchpad. Explosions in Havana. Locals in Havana are burning government buildings. They're rioting against the government. They want freedom. Hello, holy moly. We got holy. Somebody named Andy Sings. How you doing? Let's see. Yeah, Cuba is turning upside down in a hurry. Hopefully, Cuban people will be free soon. See Shelley, good to see you. Tricky Fire 6. Scooby Doo's in here. Scooby Doo in the house. We got Shaggy. Well, you know that. That's funny. Now we used to have a Scooby Snacks used to show up from. I hadn't seen him in a long time. Usually from New Zealand or Australia. We used to get Scooby Snacks in here a lot, but I've not seen him in about a year. I wonder what's happening with Scooby Snacks. And Samuel Turner. I've not seen Samuel Turner in probably 9 months or so. It's been a long time since we've seen Samuel Turner. I hope he's doing okay. A lot of my followers are up in age, so I really worry about some of them. We've lost a few of the long-term followers over the time here. A mountain in Switzerland is splitting, and a crack is increasing the length and width. Solid rock breaking away. Oh, wow. That happens. Let's see. What's normal in the history of Earth? A lot of stuff's happened in the history of Earth. We've had major volcanic eruptions that could take out our civilization. What happened in the year 435, it happened today would be a lot worse because we're so dependent on lengthy supply chains for our agriculture. What's an earth battery? An earth battery is where you can dig down and put tubes in the ground and circulate air through them. And in cold weather, the air going into it, you're pulling the warmer air out, but you're replacing it. In the summertime, basically you store heat through the summer in the ground, and through the winter you're doing the reverse. But it's usually about 55 degrees. So if the grid goes down, we're all dead. Not necessarily. No matter how much someone thinks they're Rambo. Well, Rambo isn't going to do too well, I hate to tell y'all. Boomers will go by the boomer. Oh, where'd it go? I just lost that comment. Anyway, scratch that. Boomers will go by 1 BC when you can get heart medication, diabetes. I don't require that. Everybody don't require that, my friends. So if you do take heart medication, you might want to try to find a way to have extra. Oh, New Days is in the house. Okay, good. Extra stuff. Now, let's see. Be good with God, then you'll be okay. Bingo. But I always say be right with your maker. That's an important thing. Be right with your maker. Pull a Bill Gates and turn cows into their fuel source. Well, if you ever watched Mad Max, what do they use? Pigs. Pig feces. You can make methane gas with it. And yeah, you can run a lot of stuff. You can heat your home with methane gas. You can make it a cooking gas for your stove. And you can power vehicles with it. Absolutely. Methane gas. So I'm planning to get a couple hogs. That's in my plans here. You can also make wood gas. You might want to look into that. Peoria, 107 degrees in Peoria. Wow, baby girl. Yeah, y'all hot down there. I sure, I sure is the man in my dreams. Oh, hey, I've had dreams where I still had the powers I had when I was a young man. You know, hike, going for a long hike, walking miles, swimming, doing all kind of stuff. Oh, I used to go for miles and miles and miles. I used to run 12 miles every other day. I could walk 20 miles without any problem. Done it many times. Climb mountains, go through the forest, swim. Oh man, I could do all kind of stuff. But shoot, I can't even walk a mile hardly now. Kind of tore my joints up. I was running so much. Didn't know how much damage I was doing to myself. Most importantly, plant. Yes, tricky fire. Amen to that. Keep seeds. Amen to that. So you got to have, hey, we got Norway in the house. Very good. All right. Glad to see our European buddies chiming in here. Uh, Pilgrim. Very good. Preps can always be traded. That's right. And you knew it's barter, especially if you have extra ones. Now, if you're, and what I talk about nugs. If you don't know what a nug is, flip that word around. And what do you feed nugs? Kibbles. And those kibbles will be worth a lot, but you might want to watch who you trade them to because you don't want them coming back at you. You might want somebody to serve you, but you don't want to be served hot kibbles, if you know what I'm talking about. Let's see here. Uh, I've done years of searching on polar flip. Uh, yeah, the polar flip we'll get will be magnetic. I'm not expecting the Earth's crust isn't going to shift like a certain other channel talks about a lot on here. Freshman put the movie 2012 and the day after tomorrow together. Yeah, you might see something like that. Let's see here. I love the movie. Let's see. Cowboy Roy is probably getting ready for another day. Yeah, he drives a truck. It's late for him. All right. Let's see. Samuel C. God bless forever. Amen. Amen to that. Train spikes make great knives. That's true. Now, I do have a forge, and I plan to set it up here eventually. I got a blacksmith's forge. I got anvils. I got all the tools. So we built the city on the rock and roll. Kiss, yes. Detroit, Rock City. I wouldn't want to be there. No. Let's see. Fishman, this is a channel called Geomagnetic Earthwatch. Okay, Brian Gunnarsson. Let's see, I've always thought toilet paper is nasty. Wash off, yeah. And a lot of toilet papers loaded with forever chemicals. Something else to think about. Let's see here. Sooner or later, they're going to make us move. Uh, hey Eddie, how you doing? My neighbor Eddie, well, kind of sort of neighbor. They have suicidal empathy. That's the way to look at it. Suicidal empathy. Yeah, they just don't realize what they're doing. The gravity of it. Their heads have been propagandized so much. A lot of them think they're doing a good thing, but they're really, yeah, suicidal empathy. I like that term. Appreciate that, Eddie. That's a good term. Lordy. Yeah, I rent, so I can't update electrical to ground. Yeah, if you rent, you're limited to what you can do. Now you can get portable, you can get solar and put it on a trailer. And think about me. I've got a van I can live in if I have to. I got two of them here. I got four vans I can live. I lived in my little red van for a while. I've got a gray van a little bit longer that it got stolen from me and they started chopping it up. But I'm trying to resurrect that van. Um, I've got two custom vans basically. Y'all might remember I used to make some videos from Vanna White, and then I've got a van called Canyon I lived in quite a while out here. So, and Canyon's got a trailer hitch on it. So I pull trailers with Candy all the way across the United States back and forth. I got a flatbed trailer, but you can build, I've got a self-contained trailer too. I got my big truck here, but you can live in some of those self-contained enclosed trailers. You can store a lot of stuff, and that's to be a little bit too heavy for me to pull in my van. I have pulled a flatbed truck, pulled lumber with it, all the way from Sholo back down from Sholo. A lot of stuff like that. That would be something that, if you can live in it and pull a solar trailer, but you might be a target, you carry some of that stuff. One thing I like about my vans is people don't know you're in it. They just think, okay, it's just a van. If you stay quiet, you can, hey, we got Ransom in the house. How you doing, Ransom? Cool, you're still on. Amen. Good to see Ransom in the house. Chuck Norris met the grave and hit the earth. The grave gave away, and the earth said, ouch. Yeah, I heard the Grim Reaper that took him got all beat up. Plant a garden. Amen. Plant a garden. Absolutely. We're all addicted to our phone. Well, if when the cell towers go down, that phone's not going to be much good. And you may have a compass app or something and it might work. But they're talking about, SpaceX is trying to come up with some phones that will you can access with their satellite. I don't know how they're going to do it. They got to come up with some bigger satellites to make that work because antenna size in space is inversely proportional to antenna size required on the ground. So if you need to have a really small antenna on the ground, you got to have a big antenna in space. Now, maybe virtually they could have a big antenna by combining several of the satellites. So they may have a way around that. Let's see here. Outside spray. Big city life will make things much. Yes, absolutely. It takes 20 minutes for a hypersonic missile launched from China to hit the west coast of America. Well, they'd be launching from space unless they're launching offshore. What you got to worry about is things launched offshore. I showed y'all recently how China has these missile launcher tubes that they put in ISO ship containers on cargo ships. Think of all the cargo ships that's come from China into our ports on the West Coast. And those can have very significant ranges, my friend. Very significant range. They can launch drones the same way. And I've covered already how China could launch EMP and drone attacks on the United States from balloons from ships outside of our air defense zones offshore in the Pacific Ocean. Just like I launch rockets, like the one this motor was designed for, from balloons out in the Gulf of Mexico. I know, I've been there, done that, know how to do it. I couldn't remember your name earlier. Let's skip the whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, Chuck Norris, he seemed like he was a really good guy. So sad to lose a guy like him. But I'm gonna tell you something. All these movies where some guy is standing up in the wide open with an M60 under each arm, going bang, 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 and taking out a bunch of guys hiding behind bushes and shrubs and fences. That ain't what happened. Because if you can be seen, you can be taken out in 3 to 4 seconds. Eddie Bohai is in our room tonight. He's also military. He can tell you the same thing. It don't take no time to take a target out. So if that person is standing wide open, he's going to be eliminated. And just remember that if you are trying to defend yourself and you're standing wide open, now, take Australia, those guys that shot up that park in Australia. Nobody else had guns, so they could stand wide open. But if you're in an environment where other people are armed and you're standing out in the wide open, you're going to be taken out real fast. I was wondering if you did a garden. Want the chemtrails have an effect? No more on that than anything else. All your food grown might be susceptible, but you could grow stuff in a greenhouse. That could protect it somewhat. Maybe put some shade cloth, might give it a little bit of protection. Wash your stuff off. Hey, a lot of stuff the roots won't absorb. It depends on what they got in them. Shipping containers for hydrocrops, Shaggy. The heavy metals can have a negative impact on your garden. Covering it will help. Yep. Got somebody going tonight. Oh yeah, Claire's on. Classo. I don't know how you say that. Classoatic. Good night. We're about to wrap up here in a minute. We're going to do our egg guess in a second. Cover that in 2016, Obama was allowing the company to buy port space. Trump, yeah. Actually, the Chinese were buying the Long Beach port in Los Angeles, and Trump turned that around, thankfully. Well, classy boo. You trying to wake us up? Is that what you're saying, boo? Ransom video games player. Well, you got two ransoms in the house, or are you in the house twice? How do you cover yourself in war on the field? Throw a phone with TikTok in the field and press play. Lordy. All right, so let me see if I got any donations here through my website. Check that real quick. Because it's impossible sometimes. And sometimes Michelle Davis tosses me a donation. A lot of times Kim Possible is watching, but she can't participate in the chat. Let's see here. Nothing yet tonight. So, got an odd email from defythegrid.com. I need to call my friend over there. Thank you, Greg. Good night, everyone. All right, Ivan. All righty, guys, give me a second. We're going to do something here in a minute. Don't guess yet. No guesses yet. Hold your guesses. I'll range these a little bit. Let's see here. Now I can do that rearrange that. Find me a light so you can see what I'm talking about. No guesses yet. Hang on. Hang on. We're going to do the egg guess here in a minute. Let's see if this light works. Okay. All right. Ops Mountain. What's Ops? Oh, Ops at Mountain. We got Mount. Oh, you're talking about Mountain High Time? All right, guys. How many eggs did I gather today? Time to guess. Go. How many eggs did I gather today? Don't say boo or ghosts will think you're friendly. Lordy. All right, keep guessing, keep guessing. All right, keep guessing, keep guessing. Keep guessing. Keep guessing. Keep guessing. Hey, we got a super chat. Thank you, Ransom. Thank you very much. Cargo missile, check it out later, Greg. Yes, talk about those cargo missiles. Very much. Thank you for that. Keep guessing. I hadn't seen the number yet. Let me go back, make sure I didn't miss it. Nope. Keep guessing. Oh, wow, I gotta hit the down button. Keep guessing. Whoa, there we are, Mudslinger. Mudslinger got it. I got 10 eggs today. 10 eggs today. 10 eggs. Mudslinger got the guess right. 10 eggs. Salute Mudslinger. And salute to Ransom for the super chat. Thank you very much, Ransom. All right. And thank you for the information you linked in there on what I've been talking about with the missile launchers from cargo ships. They got many ways to launch missiles. They showed us missile tubes, but they also they can actually do satellite launches. So you could do an intercontinental ballistic missile from a boat like that, because they basically weld two of those 40-foot containers together and then erect a missile 40 foot tall. Yikes. So anyway, all right, now the guessing the stuff. How many Easter eggs did we get? Out of the 10 eggs, how many of them are Easter eggs? 10 of them aren't Easter eggs all of a sudden. Mudslinger got the guess for the total number, and that was Easter egg. No, that was the total number was 10. But how many of them are Easter eggs? All right, keep guessing. Keep guessing. How you doing, Peppermint? Keep guessing. There we go. Shaggy got it. It's just one, which is kind of unusual. It's usually about two or three at least. Now I do have some light colored eggs, probably my some light brown ones, and yeah, Shaggy got that one, and I got one. I think my leghorn's finally laying. I got one that's so pale that's almost white. That must be from the leghorn. And I got some really light brown, but only one true Easter egg, and that one's right here in the corner. This is the Easter egg. These others are various shades of brown. That one's beige. That's probably from my leghorn hen. They'll typically lay a white egg. So that's probably from her. She's probably finally started laying. I've gotten a few from her. Hers are kind of rough in texture for some reason. But yeah, that's my Easter egg right here. And we are 10 eggs. So I'm just too shy of filling up a dozen. So there we are, my friends. Yeah. Hope I'm trying to turn this thing off. There we go. Yikes. Yeah, I would have thought I'd had more Easter eggs when you get up to 10 eggs. Now, my record, that's close to my record. They've laid 10 eggs a couple of times. And I didn't get that many the past couple of days for some reason. They just weren't laying much, but they tend to kind of cycle low and high. But I got a couple of days ago, I had 11 eggs. That was the record I got from these hens so far. I'm told that as we get further into spring and summer, they'll be laying a lot more eggs. So, Greg, what do you think about Q? You mean like QAnon, or the Q that's so was associated with Trump? I don't know. There's a lot of misinformation went out under that banner. So I'm not very, if that's who you're talking about, I'm just not really up on that. High in vitamin A. Are you going to hide the Easter eggs? Well, I know anybody down here to hunt them except for my cats. So, Peppermint, phone is pressed to my ear to listen. Made it out of Minnesota, now in South Dakota, caring for ill family. Oh, well, bless your heart. Do you want us to pray for your family member there, Peppermint Patty? Maybe we should do that before we go down. So you got to keep the volume down. Yeah, I hear that. So, yeah, Mountain Time gave us a nice super chat tonight. Appreciate that. Checking the email. I hadn't seen anything coming in through here. All right, so 10 is yes, please. Okay. All right, we'll do a little prayer before we leave here. We'll pray for Peppermint Patty's family. We have any other prayer requests? We should pray for our troops overseas. Some of them may be really going to harm's way. And let's pray that this thing resolves itself and maybe the people in Iran find freedom, the people in Cuba find freedom for a change. That would be worth praying for. So let's pray for Randy Bly. He's been in our chats a lot. He's in hospice. If he hasn't already passed away, I need to check with Susan. I hadn't seen any notice of that. And we need to pray for Susan, his wife. She's going through a lot right now. She's taking it real hard. Anybody else need a prayer request? Peace on earth. Amen, Nunu. That's what we really need. I got a peace on earth plan. I got a plan for peace on earth. So we'll be revealing that one day soon. For the world too. Amen, Mountain High, Ransom. So, all right. Thank you. All righty. So let's do that. We do pray. We're family, and I believe in the power of prayer very much. I've seen it working. And some of the people we pray for, have suddenly gotten a lot better. That's 48 hours is critical. Yes, it's not even 48 hours now. That was almost 24 hours ago, uh probably 22 hours ago or something like that, that was put out. So in the wee hours of Monday morning, the attacks could be commencing on Iran, and they may take retribution out. Taking down their power grid means they might go for hours. Something to bear in mind. On my son is stationed at Barksdale. Needless to say, when they got the lockdown notification and shelter in place, this mom was worried. So they did have a lockdown of those drones. I don't doubt it. That was a threatening situation. The Air Force said they couldn't stop them. Please pay for social services. Renews my Morris Medicaid. Okay. So we'll pray for Salty Floridian's son, our troops. Amen. Amen. Definitely. We just need to chill on military. Yeah, well, Lord, a lot of stuff's in action. A lot of things are in play right now. That's all I got to say about it. A lot of things are in play. Freedom for all. That's what I like to see. Amen. I see a day we don't have to worry about these kind of things. As long as we got countries that have dictators running them, authoritarian figures, we got problems. Maybe the thing to do is get rid of the countries, right? Not globalism. I'm thinking about, smaller governances, much smaller units of governance one day. Maybe we can go there. Alrighty, guys. Like I said, we're not a religious channel. I'm not here to tell you how to pray, so I won't lead the prayer. I will say everybody pray according to your own faith. And if you're agnostic or atheistic, the moment of silence is golden. Our God wins. I definitely believe that. All right, folks, let's have a moment of prayer here. Amen. Amen. We cannot control the weather, the economy, the decisions made by our leaders, bankers are always under control of those forces. But why is it always the innocent who have to suffer and pay? Because they have no use for the innocent. That's why. But we can pray that we all wind up in a better situation given the deck that's dealt to us. Doing good has no end. That is true. You can always do good. You can never do too much good. Ransom video player. Amen. Okay. Amen. God has your answer. That's right. All the sun. Miss Rebellious One. All right. Amen. Hey, Ransom's got a young family too. I salute him for keeping our population going. And I know he's going to raise them well. So this will be outstanding citizens for the future of this country. And that's an investment in the future of this country. So to anybody that's having families, hats off to them. I've seen pictures. So hats off to Ransom for that. There is free will. Some have used free will to do evil against others. Unfortunately, yes. And most unfortunately, too, is your sociopaths and psychopaths tend to float up in management of organizations, companies, agencies, and government, particularly in government, big corporations, too. And you don't become a authoritarian dictator unless you're a psychopath. They're all psychopaths. And a lot of the other people in top leaderships are psychopaths. And unfortunately, a lot of these psychopaths have their fingers on nuclear triggers. Now, they do care about their own outcome, but you got to think about it. Somebody has no empathy and they got their finger on the nuclear trigger. And now that more and more fingers are getting on nuclear triggers, our world gets less stable. As the flight times for nuclear missiles reduce through hypersonic weapons and things that be fired from ships and submarines, the world becomes less safe. Keep your faith in Jesus Christ and God's word and know what is coming to the entire world. Yep. One should never impose their will upon others. I agree with that. You definitely agree with that. That's what a lot of them do. They're control freaks. And I'm against control freaks. I'm for freedom. So I started Freedom Restoration Foundation. Amen. Thank you, Greg, and everyone else. God bless you all. God bless the USA. Amen. Yeah, I did a little longer prayer session than normal just because there's just a lot to pray for right now. A lot to pray for. A lot to take into account. And say your prayers when you go to bed. Pray for friends, family, our military, our country, our world. I have a 20-year-old, 5-year-old, and a 2-year-old. Okay. A pit bull and 7 inside cats and 7 feral outside cats. You got a family that I didn't know you had a 20-year-old. I knew you had the 2 younger ones. Very good. Very good. Jesus is with us. Christ will accept them. Okay. All right. Yeah, keep your faith and stay right with your maker. I always tell you guys that. Be right with your maker. You're ahead, and you have less to fear when you're right with your maker. Less to fear. That's if you do pass away, you got a lot less to fear. But do everything you can to protect yourself and your loved ones. I always tell you that. Your community, your friends, your family. Thank you, Sam Massey, for being here. So we're about to conclude this video. We've been going on for almost 2 hours now. We've run really long. We have a lot to cover, and I did go more in depth of things you need to do to prep tonight. A lot of prepper tips. So I want to, from the bottom of my heart, thank you everybody for watching. Thank Ransom for the super chats. Thank you. He's got a good channel. Check out Mountain High Time, folks. Do check out Ransom's channel, Mountain High Time. Hey, Soulside Jules, good to see you in here. How your baby kitties doing, Greg? They're all asleep right now, which means I'll probably wake up and tear the house up when I'm trying to go to sleep. They tear the house up for about 40 minutes, running back and forth and playing kitten combat, and then they get tuckered out and they crash and sleep for about as many minutes, and they're back at it again. So they have a real fast day cycle in their day. It's not our 24-hour day by any stretch of the imagination. but they're having a big old time here, growing and playing, getting their exercise, developing their muscles, their reactions. So they're doing well. I fed them just before I started this video. I fed them one of their favorite things so they wouldn't be clawing me while I'm trying to make the video here. It's hard to pay attention. Kid in combat, that's right. They really go at it. But kids are fun to watch. Sometimes they get pretty serious. They play rough. They rough house. That's why I call it kid in combat. Those little fur balls are cute as the world, but boy, they got some claws. I know. Hey, that's my marks. They think that that it's okay to climb you with their claws. That's kind of rough on us people. We're not cats. Jesus, Lord, and He will settle all things. All right, just remember that you got to live your life best you can while you're here. Remember that Satan tried to tempt Jesus to jump off a building, and he told him to tempt him not, but he could walk on water. So, in any event, my friends, so what I want to say is again, thank you, Super Chatter, Ransom, and thank you, ever mods, for all keeping the channel clean tonight. Oh, it's only 3 in the morning here. Yikes. That's going to take me another hour. I'll be at 4 o'clock getting in bed again. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please, my channel gets stomped on a lot, so please share my videos. Please share them far and wide. And to help throw me a thumbs up on you. Hey, we got another super chat. Hey, how you doing there? Appreciate that. Carrie and Eddie. I found more information on plant medicine. Oh, very good. Hey, I want to meet y'all's, this guy you're telling me that lives close to me that knows all these plants. That is something I really want to find. Thank you, Carrie and Eddie, both of you. So I do want to find the neighbor you said lives close to me. I do want to meet this guy. That's a high priority for me. It's springtime here. I got a lot of little desert plants popping up. I found one that I can eat, but I don't even know what it is. So I need to learn the local plants. I knew everything in Alabama. I knew all the wild edibles and medicinals there. So I need to learn what the desert's got to offer. I know there's a lot. So I do need to learn those. I know you can eat juniper berries, but only in limited amounts. And I think they've got some strong medicinal properties too. We're arranging it. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Carrie and Eddie have both been to my place here. They had me out for a lunch. They treated me to lunch in a local restaurant here. Good people. I really appreciate them. So I've got some good friends and neighbors in this area, and I really appreciate that. So yucca stalking flower. I hadn't seen any yucca around here. Maybe there's some growing somewhere around here close, but I know I can do the various cactuses here that can be ate. Don't have too much in the way of well, shit, I'm getting brain locked right now. But anyway, what state are you in? I used to be in Alabama. I'm in Arizona now. Variable stacker. I used to be in Alabama. Let's see, what was that? Yeah, high vitamin C. One-seeded juniper berries are better than vitamin C supplements. No doubt that. They're pretty strong. Your Navajo tea should be popping up. Yeah, I need to know which one that is. Oh, little yellow flowers. Okay. Good for the immune system. Thank you, Solzai. She used to live really close to here, but she moved. She was not far from here at all. So I appreciate that. Yeah, I really need to know the local plants. YouTube is so strict on the kind of topics you cover, and it's like really narrow. You have to stay within your narrow niche now. So I may open some other YouTube channels to cover the broad range of stuff I used to cover. I might do that. I'm thinking about opening a channel more on how to prep, kind of grid down focused. And I may open a channel that is more high desert homesteading and gardening. And I am planning to start pretty soon to build this universal habitat concept. And that probably requires a channel of its own. So Yeah, you expect content to be coming from you, but you have to open up some other channels because the topics are diverse, and YouTube don't know how to handle that. So they tend to show you the wrong videos, the wrong people, and they don't respond well. So they think your videos are no good and they don't show them anymore. So you got to really battle the algorithms. It's a lot tougher now than it used to be on YouTube. Um, I would sub to those other channels. Well, thank you. Glad to see that. Now, a lot of you guys do have that broad range of interest. So that's one reason I'm focusing more on geopolitics in this channel right now. I have a sea brush from Australia that lives on no water, makes my tiny fruit and leaves. Oh, I'd love to have some seeds from that, full of salt and base. Stop soil erosion. Well, a lot of stuff I can control by planting in my beds because I saw those beds, not much is going to grow. Any solar stackers and Chet. I think somebody is. Um, yeah. All right, again. So thank you, Ransom. Thank you, Carrie and Eddie. Appreciate that. Salute to you both for the super chats again. Mods, everyone for coming in here watching tonight. Share my videos, make comments after I post a video, and respond to other people's comments. I know a lot of you do that. I appreciate that. All these things help. This video's gone 2 hours now, which is really going to discourage a lot of my morning time coffee club drinkers from watching the video. But most of them are hopefully getting accustomed to how I do these live streams. I put the news in first, real compact, and then we do our community stuff. So that's how we operate here. News comes in tight first. Yep. And so with that, I'm going to say to one and all, a good night, good day, wherever you are. If we got people all around the world, we got people in Australia and Europe. So good day to y'all. Good night to everyone here. It's morning. A lot of you guys on the East Coast are getting up. So, and with that, in memory of Granny Atlanta, ho, ho, ho.